Tonight was exactly 22 years since Rogelio made his pact with the Mirror Man. Norman, Lady Blackfreeze, and David had assembled in his study. The curtains had been drawn, and a covered mirror placed in the center of the floor. Beside it sat a single unlit candle. Blackfreeze drew a circle around the mirror, and the 4 magic items were placed in their positions. Norman looked at the dirty boot, the dented cup, the cocktail stirrer, and the paperweight. They offered little reassurance to him of the success of the ritual. He thought he saw the black silk covering on the mirror move as his eyes passed over it.
Could we go over the plan again?
After Lady Blackfreeze finishes drawing the magic circle, I will initiate the ceremony. You will join me and help draw the Mirror Man out.
So I'm bait.
Well, yes.
Don't worry, Norman. I'll be monitoring the enchantment on the mirror. The Goblet of Dargon, the Boot of the Wolf, the Trident of Moistening, and the Paperweight of Time will ensure the Mirror Man cannot actually snatch you through the mirror.
And what are you doing, David?
Yes, what are you doing here? You aren't exactly skilled in magic.
Perhaps you would like to wait in the sitting room. There's some picture books that ought to keep you busy.
I prefer books with pictures and text. I'm here for emotional support. If you think I'd let my boyfriend be bait for some extra planer thingy, you're a screwball. And I'm manning the refreshment table. Anyone for a macaron?
Thank you, Sugar Puss.
You're welcome, Candy Bear. I also have the best partner any detective could have. Ol' Sally, my magic gun.
You idiot! You could have broken the mirror.
Why did you bring a gun?
Don't say gun.
Darling, could you please put away that gun?
Stop saying G-U-N. That's the command word.
You mean to say that the pistol goes off whenever you say that word?
Yup.
An absolute idiot.
What did you call me?
An idiot. I should throw you out of here.
Now see here, if it weren't for me, Norman would have been thrown into the loony bin after he was mugged by those pixies. I deserve to be here. I can help.
At the rate you're going, you're more likely to kill us.
Can we please save the fighting until after the whole summon a mirror demon thing?
Norman is right. For once, can you both stop messing about?
Well, fine, but he started it.
I did not. You were the one who has the stupid magic gun.
All right, that's it. David, you go stand next to the punch bowl, and Rogelio, you get back to the circle.
Can we finish walking through the plan?
Right. Once the magic barriers are in place, I will perform the ceremony. As soon as the Mirror Man appears, Blackfreeze will activate her enchantment and trap the creature in the mirror. I will then shatter it, killing the Mirror Man, or at the very least preventing it from influencing our world.
And I just get to stand there and look pretty?
You already got that down, babe.
Thanks, Sugar Puss.
Yeah, I don't think that's doing it for me anymore.
Yeah.
In order for us to draw the Mirror Man out, you will have to shed blood, Norman.
What? That is incredibly dangerous. If the enchantment fails, then Norman will be claimed by the Mirror Man forever.
Then ensure it does not fail. We have 5 minutes until midnight. Prepare yourselves.
And try the cheese plate.
The Occult Adventures of Norman P. Blank. Step into the magical world hidden in plain sight, where mystery and danger threaten from every corner. With his brave companion, Detective David X. Machina, the Mistress of Magic, Lady Blackfreeze, the Lord of Ash and Shadow, mild-mannered lawyer Norman P. Blank confronts a terrifying enemy. Tonight's episode, Magical Mr. Norman P. Blank.
A minute away from midnight, the study was quiet as everyone watched the clock tick down the last few seconds. The refreshment table stood largely untouched.
Let us begin.
With a gesture, the lights were put out and the candle was lit. It seemed feeble against the darkness that pressed in around them. Norman stood beside Rogelio inside the circle. Rogelio pulled off the black silk covering the mirror. The room suddenly felt as cold as an icebox. Their breath exhaled in misty clouds. Norman shivered as he looked at the silvering surface of the mirror. Though not from the cold,
Mirror man, I call thee by thy name. Hear my voice, come to me, my body thou mayst claim. Face and eyes, lips and tongue, and grant me in their place fate respun, life re-won, new lips, new tongue, new face.
At first, Norman saw nothing in the mirror but the familiar reflection of Rogelio's face. Then something in the eyes changed, and Norman knew at once that the being that now stared up at them was not Rogelio.
Hello, Rogelio.
I have kept the bargain. Give me back my sister.
Hast thou brought one to give in her place?
Here.
Norman stepped forward and saw his own face reflected in the mirror. Its eyes locked with his, and dread, unlike any he had felt before, gripped him.
Thou offerest thyself willingly.
Yes, I will take Emily's place.
I have seen thee before, Norman. Thou art with Nancy in the time out of time.
In the time bubble? But how?
I see thee through every mirror. I have watched thee with great curiosity.
Show me my sister. I must know she is unharmed.
She is safe.
Brother!
Emily! What happened to her? She's aged.
Time advances ever, Rogelio. The night grows long, and the bargain will end soon.
Norman, give me your hand.
Norman extended his hand over the mirror, and Rogelio produced a knife. He pricked Norman's finger, and a drop of blood fell upon the mirror. It hissed as it touched the mirror. The magic circle drawn on the floor flashed to life. Great waves of arcane energy burst into being, flowing from the assembled magic artifacts and wrapping around the mirror. The candle guttered out, leaving everything in darkness.
Norman? Norman!
In the dim glow of David's lighter, they saw the slim figure of Emily. Her face wan, her hair stretched down to her waist, and her wide eyes were fixed on Rogelio.
Norman! Where's Norman? Can anyone see him?
David ran to the mirror. Norman looked up at him, his eyes cold and malevolent.
You son of a bitch! Give me back Norman!
The mirror man smiled, and the lighter's flame went out. When the lights were restored, all David saw was his own frightened reflection. When Norman came to consciousness, the first thing he was aware of was his back pressing against something hard and cold. He reasoned it must be the floor. He slowly opened his eyes and rolled onto his side. He felt as if his body was struggling to remember how to move. The feeling slowly faded as he sat up. He was in the study. It looked much as it normally had. But as he looked around, he realized
It's reversed.
the effect was disorienting, and he struggled to his feet. He started to where the door to the study normally was, but realized he was facing its opposite wall.
Oh boy, this isn't gonna be a swell time. David? Black Freeze? Rogelio?
Hello, Norman.
Before him stood an ancient-looking woman. Her hair was woven into complex locks. She was dressed in a simple tunic with bangles of hammered copper around her wrists.
The Mirror Man?
Yes. Art thou surprised?
Yes, I thought he'd have my face or something, unless...
Norman reached up and touched his face. Everything seemed to be there.
This is one of the first faces given to me. She was among the first to use magic, you know. The first to have second sight.
What are you going to do to me?
I want to know why thou hast second sight. Only I can bestow this gift.
I don't know. I didn't even know I had it before I moved to San Francisco.
Ever the mystery, Norman.
Why haven't you taken my face yet?
Because thy face is not perfect.
I'm not that ugly, am I?
Perfection has nothing to do with appearance. A being such as I cannot wear a new face without first tailoring it to suit me. Your three-dimensional form requires perfecting before I can wear it.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm really quite imperfect. Maybe you should just put me back in the real world.
Norman backed up against the table in the study. It had all the random papers, books, ink pots, and quill caddies that were present in the real world. As stealthily as he could, he grabbed a small mouse skull paperweight and hid it behind his hand.
David, you're here!
What art thou talking about?
Norman chucked the paperweight at the Mirror Man and bounded to the door. He threw it open and entered into the study again. The Mirror Man turned, and its face changed again to one of a wizened old man with a long white beard.
I have taken the faces of the most powerful warlocks. Merlin, Tremulous Pest, Circe, and one whose name I can't remember right now. Dost thou really think throwing a paperweight will distract me? I control this realm.
The floor bucked, sending Norman flying off his feet. He landed on his back and began to roll onto the wall as the room tilted on its side. The refuse on the desk crashed around him, and just at the last moment, he jumped away as the desk shattered where he had been.
You might be a god here, but I'm a lawyer. I believe in no god but justice.
Justice? Thou thinkst thou art a servant of justice? Then let us see how just thou truly art.
The room around him bent and contorted, folding in on itself. The wood panels of the floor and walls slithered into a new configuration. A courtroom. Norman stood before the bench where the Mirror Man sat in judgment. Figures sat in the jury box, their faces obscured by shadow.
Norman P. Blank. What does the P stand for anyway?
Like you, it stands for nothing. My parents just thought it looked good.
Weird. Norman P. Blank. Thou art accused of hypocrisy, violation of contracts, poor fashion taste, bad judgment around men, general ignorance, and the worst sin of all, hubris. Oh, and also thou hast an unpaid parking ticket. Verdict! Guilty on all charges. Punishment: thy soul will be torn from thy body, which will serve me for all time!
Hi, I'm Bernie Sanchez, two-time MVP pitcher for the San Francisco Fairy Godmothers. If there is one thing I know about baseball, it is that without a good snack, you're just not playing the game. That's why I always carry a packet of Snake Snacks with me onto the field. Not only do they taste great, but it freaks other players out to see a grown man eat a live snake before throwing a 90-mile-an-hour pitch.
Strike three, you're out!
Gets them every time.
Snake Snacks! Put the hiss in snack time.
Brains.
Maria, look out! A zombie!
Wait. Look at that zombie's teeth!
You're right. That zombie has clean white teeth.
That's not scary at all.
Say, you know what would be swell? A hamburger.
And how?
If you're a zombie and your teeth are too clean, then turn to the #1 trusted brand of toothpaste, DK toothpaste, packed with sugar, bacteria, and green coloring. DK toothpaste is guaranteed to rot your teeth in a week or less.
Look, that zombie with the nice teeth is back.
Oh my god, it's teeth! Run!
DK toothpaste. Find it in the cosmetics aisle.
If you enjoy audio drama and fiction podcasts, sign up for the Fiction Podcast Weekly. It's an email newsletter with the latest news, events, creative opportunities, job listings, behind-the-scenes production resources, podcast milestones, debuts, and finales. Plus, it's free. Sign up now at thepodcasthost.com/fictionpodcastweekly.
What the hell did you do with Norman?
He knew the risks. I got my Emily back. That's all that matters.
All that matters? Norman is gone. I thought the whole point of getting all these magic items was to prevent that from happening.
There was always a chance of failure. Now get off me.
I ought to say the generic word for pistol right about now.
Calm down, David. We need him if we're going to get Norman back.
Why? Can't you open the mirror?
When Rogelio sacrificed Norman, a bond was created between them. We need him to fish Norman out.
I will not risk my sister by contacting that thing again. I am very sorry, but Norman is gone.
You son of a gun.
David?
Thank you both for your help tonight. I regret the loss of Norman, but now I must ask you to leave. Come with me, Emily. I have a room prepared for you.
No.
I'm sorry?
Don't touch me.
Emily, what's wrong?
You left me there for 22 years.
You must understand, I had to.
Had to? I watched everything you've done. The Mirror Man made me watch. You didn't even try to get me out that whole time. You spent the last 22 years becoming rich and powerful, and then you trick your friends, just like you tricked me.
I did not trick you. I was doing what I thought I had to do, what I needed to do to keep us from starving. I would never have performed that ritual if I knew what would happen.
Really? The choice seemed pretty easy tonight.
See, not even your sister likes you.
Shut up!
Why didn't you give up your power? You could have ended the bargain and given all that up to get me back.
I made that bargain to keep us from dying in the streets like some unintelligent rat.
We both know you did it for yourself.
Enough. It is clear we have a lot of family therapy to do, but that doesn't change the fact that you're here.
Or that Norman is gone.
Like I said, I am very sorry, but there is nothing I can do.
There is something I can do, Rogelio. I can get you removed from every committee in the city. I can have you barred from ever entering the Fae again. I can isolate you from magical society so that all that wealth and power will be nothing more than ash and shadow.
Come, Emily. Our guests are leaving.
The Mirror Man had delivered its verdict. Two of the figures in the jury box lurched at Norman.
Take him away to be hollowed out.
Wait, I haven't been able to argue my case. What about due process? You have to let me respond to each of the accusations.
Oh, what about due process? No, I don't want this episode to become a clip show. This is my realm, Norman. I am afraid law, human, magical, shrimp, or otherwise, has no purchase here. Take him to the soul-tearing machine.
Then let us strike a bargain.
Ho! A bargain? What hast thou to offer me? I already possess all of you, Norman.
If I convince you that I'm innocent of all, or at least most of the charges, then you will let me go. If not, I'll tell you the one thing you don't know, the secret of my second sight, and submit myself to the... what did you call it?
The soul-tearing machine. It's actually more of like a big hook that we stick up thy bum.
That's gross on so many levels. What do you say to my offer?
I must admit I find thee diverting, Norman. I will agree to thy terms, but know the judge and jury are stacked against thee.
Justice will always pull through.
Just get on with it.
First, I do not have bad fashion sense. I just like a clean, simple suit.
Thou art wearing a brown belt with black shoes. The verdict stands. Guilty!
Okay, then hypocrisy. That's hardly a crime. Everyone is hypocritical at times. It's the reality of being human. Whatever my hypocrisy has been, I'm sure that it was for the greater good.
Thou mean'st all the times thou crafted false statutes and laws thou put working for the greater good. No. Mr. Blank, thou workst to satisfy thy own desires and to abuse the trust of others. How canst thou say thou valuest justice when thou dost nothing more than dissemble? The verdict stands. Guilty.
I have worked hard to uphold the spirit of justice. I admit that I'm imperfect and have acted unethically at times. I did so because it was the only way to deliver true justice.
Thou profess thou hast keen judgment, yet thou provest time and time again thou hast not.
The struggle for justice is imperfect. We do the best that we can with the information we have. Laws are a perfect example of that. They are created through a system of debate and compromise.
Thou art a fool if thou thinkst thy laws are anything but enforcements by the powerful to keep their power. Thou professest the love of law, yet thou thinkst thou art above the law, acting with impunity when it suits thee. There is no greater display of thy hubris than trying to cheat me of thy soul with that ritual.
I was trying to help a friend recover his sister that you unfairly took. He was a child. How could he know what he was doing?
He knew the risks.
And you accuse me of hubris.
What am I but a mirror, Norman? Nothing I have said is something thou hast not thought thyself. Thou hast failed to refute the charges. Bring forth the soul-tearing hook. Don't worry, Norman, the pain is excruciating, but you'll only be aware of it for a moment.
Emily and Rogelio sat at a long table in the dining room of Rogelio's manor. An untouched meal sat in front of Emily. Her arms crossed. She glared at her brother.
Aren't you going to eat? 22 years in the mirror must have worked up an appetite.
You sold me for magic, and now you're joking about it?
Please, Emily, don't spoil this family reunion.
I'm spoiling it? Yeah, sure. It's not like trapping a friend in the mirror and then vanishing away your other friends isn't hanging like a soggy griffin over us.
Now, Emily. Not you two again.
That's right, us two. And I have an army of fairies outside ready to burst in here at my command.
I'd like to see them try.
You might be a powerful warlock, but you're no match for old Sally. Get him, girl!
Shut up,
David.
You can either get Norman back, or you can rot in jail for the rest of your life.
I worked too hard for too long to end up in prison. Understand that I will not go without a fight. I will take down the entire Crystal District if that means...
Rogelio, give it up.
What?
I don't like the person you've become. I don't even recognize you anymore.
Emily, I'm the same person, but now I'm powerful. I can protect us. Nothing bad will ever happen again.
You can't be Lord of Ash and Shadow and my brother. I don't know who this Lord is, but they are not you.
What would you have me do?
Leave it all behind. We can be a family again. We can start again.
I will never go back to the degradation and squalor we lived in before I made that bargain.
Rahelia, we might not get along. We really aren't friends or allies. We're enemies at this point. But you won't lose everything. Well, you'll lose most of it, like 90% or so.
More like 99.999%.
Shut up, David. But I will find you an apartment and a good job.
Let's make a fresh start, Helio.
A fresh start? It has been 22 years. I suppose we have a lot of catching up to do. All right. I will give up my power. Let's go to the study, and I will perform the ritual. I cannot guarantee we can save Norman, but I will do everything in my power to bring him back.
So, I don't get to use my gun?
Shut up, David.
Lady Blackfreeze, David, Rogelio, and Emily assembled in the study.
Now I will begin the ritual. I do not know of any instance where a warlock who struck a bargain with the Mirror Man was able to break their bargain, but there's a first time for everything.
I believe in you, brother.
Just remember, if you fail to get Norman back, old Sally will have a word to say with you. Specifically, that word we shouldn't say.
I do not need to be coerced by violence, Machina. Why don't you go fetch us some punch? I'm sure that is within your skill set.
Why, I oughta. If you weren't the only one who could get Norman back, I would punch you right in the nose, and then I'd kick you in the shin, and then after I kicked you, I'd throw you off a cliff.
David.
I know. Shut up, David. Can we get this over with?
Mirror man, I call thee by thy name, yada yada yada, new lips, new tongue, new face.
In the mirror realm, Norman was being dragged towards the soul-tearing hook. The mirror man pulled his head back as the hook drew close.
Wait. Can we have a retrial?
The verdict is given. My soul is mine.
Mirror man, I call thee by thy name.
Thou art enough. Rogelio calls to me.
The bodies the mirror man had collected went slack, their eyes blank. Norman slipped out of the restraints and ran to the closest door, only for it to open back in on the courtroom. He saw the back of his own head staring into an infinite set of doors.
That's horrifying.
Why didn't it work?
I don't know. Let me try again. Mirror man.
Rogelio, come to make another bargain? Perhaps thou offerest the stupid one, or maybe that fairy. I have not had a fairy in many, many years.
No more bargains. I have come to break the bargain.
Break the bargain? Once made, the bargain cannot be broken.
Then I give it back.
Do not be careless, Rogelio. Break the bargain, and I will forever haunt thee. My power is greater than thou canst know, and I will bend every hand against thee. I shall shatter you as easily as glass.
You're welcome to try. Mirror man, I renounce my power. I give up my magic, my wealth, all of it.
What? Where am I?
It worked!
Norman, you're back!
David!
I didn't even have to use my gun.
You dolt! You broke the mirror!
Norman saw his fractured reflection staring up at him. The mirror man's voice emerged like a whisper.
I'll be watching. Let us see if thou truly knowest the meaning of justice. Be warned, Norman. There is a greater threat emerging thou cannot understand.
What do you mean?
But the mirror man was gone. Norman saw his own eyes staring back at him.
How do you feel, Rogelio?
Strange. I feel heavier somehow. Like something I hadn't known I lost was returned.
Norman, how can I thank you? Without you, I'd never have returned.
You're welcome.
I hope you can forgive me, Norman.
I understand why you did what you did, but forgive you? Not yet. Not now.
I understand.
Come on, brother. Let's finish that dinner.
Ooh, did someone say dinner?
Boy, am I starving. I suppose being in a parallel dimension will do that to you. What's for dinner?
Norman stood in the middle of a great round chamber. Fluted columns rose up to a dome roof gilded with gold and fine jewels. But it was not this that caught Norman's attention. He stared at the giant floating eye, the size of a small house that loomed before him. Drops of iridescent blood dripped from it, collecting into puddles on the floor. Its great dark pupils stared back at him.
Norman, at last we meet.
Thank you for listening to the first season of The Occult Adventures of Norman P. Blank. Stay tuned for even more thrills, chills, and legal bills in Season 2. Wait, what's that? No!
The Occult Adventures of Norman P. Blank is brought to you by the vocal stylings of Anna Brown, Art Brown, Brandon Brooks, Cameron Rose, Courtney Reece, Dezaré Foster, Dylan Bellardinelli, Jordan Stidham, Kevin Victor Rae, and Will Mercer. This has been a Laughing Skull audio production.
Thank you for listening to the first season of The Occult Adventures of Norman P. Blank. We'll be taking a break from our regular feed, but if you'd like to access even more content, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/NormanPBlank. I love you.